What are the scientifically proven strategies that we can start using today to strengthen the mind? By the end of this video, we'll take away 3 evidence-based strategies that you can use to strengthen the mind by increasing your motivation, grit, or perseverance. In this video, we're going to focus on how we can change the way we look at failures to turn them into greater fuel for our growth. So watch until the end of this video to learn and use scientific knowledge to strengthen the mind and to start living a more meaningful life. Failures can often make us feel really bad about ourselves, but can failures actually help make our learning more effective? Research shows that rather than trying to study the correct answers to questions right from the beginning, try to solve the questions on your own first so that you can experience failures can actually make learning more effective. In an experiment, people were divided into 3 groups. Group 1 was given a set of questions and their answers for 5 seconds. Group 2 were given the same set of questions and answers for 10 seconds. Now group 3 were given the questions and they were asked to solve the questions on their own for 5 seconds, and after they've tried to answer the questions on their own for 5 seconds, the answers were given to them and shown to them for 5 seconds. Now at the end of studying, the 3 groups were tested in terms of the similar questions, and group 3 that was given an opportunity to solve the questions on their own, and then they were given the answers to the questions, actually performed the best compared to group 1 or 2. But interestingly, most participants believed that having the opportunity to fail was not the best method of learning. So we tend to underappreciate the value of failure. But why don't we realize the value and the benefits of failure? When I first came to Australia when I was 11 years old, going to school and learning English was a constant experience of failure because every word that I spoke needed a correction in terms of the pronunciation. Every word that I had to write needed a correction because of the spelling mistake. Every word that I sort of read in the book, I had to look up in the dictionary because I didn't know what the word meant. And so I had to quickly learn to accept failures, constant failures, as a fuel for learning English and for improving my new language. And so the question is whether learning a new language can help us develop a more positive attitude toward failure, because the failing becomes so natural to learning a new language, and constantly experiencing failures would help make us be more open and more favorable toward experiencing failures. Certainly, knowing that failures are an effective fuel for learning and growth is the first step in terms of strengthening our grit, motivation, and perseverance. What was the failure that you experienced in the past that gave you the greatest learning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. How does being so close to achieving your goal but failing in the end affect our subsequent motivation? When we become so close to achieving that goal, do we become more motivated in other tasks, other goals that we pursue? Or does being so close to the goal but failing actually reduce our motivation and grit for other types of tasks and goals? Research shows that feeling so close to achieving the goal but failing at the end can actually increase our motivation for achieving different goals. In an experiment, people were divided into 3 groups. Group 1 was asked to play a card game, and the experiment was designed so that Group 1 always won the card game, whereas Group 2 was made to lose the card game. No matter what they did, they had to lose the game, whereas Group 3 was again made to lose the game, but only by a really small margin. So they nearly could have won but failed in the end, or lost the card game in the end. And after playing the card game, all three groups were asked to complete a subsequent task. But group 3 that was made to lose the card game, but only by a really small margin, had the strongest desire and motivation and effort to complete the subsequent task compared to group 1 or 2. So nearly winning a goal or nearly achieving a goal, but failing at the end can really boost our motivation to achieve different types of goals, to increase our motivation for different types of tasks by, I guess, intensifying a general motivation. And so when our motivation is intensified by nearly winning a goal, achieving a goal, but failing in the end, we translate that motivation to achieving different types of goals. But I wonder whether there's another sort of mechanism to explain how nearly winning a goal or nearly achieving a goal but failing it in the end translates to greater motivation for other types of tasks. It could be that the fact that you fail to achieve a goal, but really by a small margin, helps us to attribute failure to bad luck. So I nearly achieved the goal, but I failed in the end. It must be bad luck. It just increases my belief. The reason for failure is because of bad luck. And so it doesn't damage my self-confidence by attributing the failure to bad luck, and that further intensifies my motivation to achieve different types of goals. Whenever we fail, if we think that we are so close to achieving the goal, that gives us greater boost in energy, in our motivation, in our grit or perseverance for achieving different types of goals. So remember, whenever you fail next time, always think that you are so close to achieving the goal, and that being close to achieving the goal intensifies your motivation to help you achieve different types of goals. So use failures to your own advantage by thinking that you are so close to achieving the goal. But failures can be really damaging to our self-esteem and ego, that they make us learn less after experiencing failure. But is there a way of learning from our failure without reducing our ego or self-esteem? Research shows that learning from the failures of other people can often be more effective in learning than reflecting on our own failures, because other people's failures do not damage our own ego. In an experiment, people were divided into two groups. Group 1 was given a set of different questions, and they were given feedback only on their correct answers. So whenever they got some questions right, they were given feedback that those questions were correct. Whereas Group 2 was given the same set of questions, but only the questions that they got wrong, the incorrect answers, they were given feedback on. So only when they failed to answer a question correctly, they were given feedback. And what the results show, that after going through those questions, that Group 2 that were given feedback only on the answers they got wrong actually reported having lower self-esteem and actually ended up learning less from the feedback. And in a different experiment, again, people were divided into two groups. Group 1 was given feedback on their own failures, so the same set of questions they had to do, and the questions they got wrong, they were given feedback on. Whereas Group 2 was given feedback on the questions that the other group got wrong. So rather than getting feedback on their own failures or own incorrect answers, they were given feedback on the other groups, other people's failures, other groups' incorrect answers. And what the results showed, that Group 2 that learned from other people's failures, that learned from other people's mistakes and incorrect answers, actually learned much more from the feedback compared to Group 1 that were given the feedback on their own failures. So the key to learning from our own failures is to remove our ego and to really try to learn from our mistakes with our ego detached from those failures, that we didn't fail because of our own personal weaknesses or failings, that what can I learn from it without damaging my own ego. Or we can try to learn from failures of other people, because learning from other people's failures does not affect or reduce our ego or self-esteem. So we are able to better learn from the failures that other people have experienced. But is there a way of learning from our own failures without reducing or damaging our own ego or self-esteem? And I guess one idea is that whenever we fail, having this mindset of gratitude about the learnings that come from our failure. So whenever I fail to achieve a goal or to achieve a task, I might focus my mind on how much I'm grateful for the learnings, for the new things that I learned through this failure. So whenever we fail, having a mindset of gratitude toward the learning opportunities that come as a result of failing could really help us improve and learn much more effectively from our failures without damaging our ego and self-esteem. So for example, when I was taking a PhD program in marketing, oftentimes I had to present on my research ideas and my findings, and the mindset that I had going into these presentations, where you had to present in front of all these different academics, these other professors and lecturers that were there to basically criticize your ideas with critical mindset to of course help me learn and improve. So I always walked into a presentation room feeling how grateful I am to be able to learn from their feedback, right? So without feeling nervous or being scared, or what happens if I make a mistake, what happens if I appear to be really stupid and not prepared, without thinking about all of that, just forcing myself to feel excited and grateful. Yes, I'm going to learn something new. It's an opportunity for me to present my ideas so that I can learn from the feedback. So having that attitude really helped me learn and also enjoy the whole experience of presenting. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to study whether having a mindset of being grateful for the learnings that I could gain as a result of failure could actually help us learn much more effectively from our own failures. So let me ask you a question. What is the biggest failure of another person that you have witnessed that gave you the greatest learning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. So 3 key takeaways from this video are: first, make sure that you embrace opportunities to fail, because those opportunities will make learning more effective. Second, whenever you fail at something, always try to think that you were so close to achieving the goal, so that you can translate that failure, but the energy and motivation that arise from that near miss, that close to achieving the goal but failing in the end, you can translate that energy and fire in achieving a different type of goal. And third, make sure that you try to detach your ego from your own failures, or try to observe and really learn from failures of other people, which will make learning from those failures much more effective. I'm glad that you are here, because you can now use scientific knowledge to strengthen the mind and to increase your motivation, grit, and perseverance. Subscribe to get more scientifically proven strategies that you can start using to strengthen the mind.